You're confident, you're open, I hope you know relational skills, and 60 and up. Why did I put celebrating sex? Because there has been a lot of controversy about sex in the later years. But right now, a lot of people are coming up with really good articles about how sexual intimacy is actually developmental across the lifespan. But how many of you may have had an image that, ooh, thinking about older people having sex, you might cringe. But the reality is, if you are having a good sexual experience right now, are you thinking, oh no, is it gonna stop? You don't want it to stop because of the closeness, right? That it brings you both. But unfortunately, the physical body will signal changes like menopause or just a lot of other bodily changes for both men and women. And unfortunately, the body will signal that, but what you want to do is just find ways to enhance it, maintain it, and keep it all throughout the lifespan. Yeah? So please do the math in terms of the weekly timings. But I tell my couple clients, I tell my couple clients, 30 to 50 years old, you need to be planning. And you know what? I even prescribe the day. Can you believe that? I tell them once on the weekday and once on the weekend. Because you know what? It's planned, it's scheduled, and then they complain, oh, we want it to be spontaneous. And I say, go ahead. They come back 2 weeks, for their next session. I said, so how was the spontaneity? Oh, it didn't happen. We were too busy. And I say, is your time in the gym on your phone? Did you have coffee with a friend that's on your phone? Well, this should also be there. And then they think, okay. So, they choose a day. And it doesn't have to be, knowing your schedule and your pace. It's sexual intimacy. It's not sexual intercourse. So there are many different ways to engage in sexual intimacy, and your own preferences can come into the picture. Okay? Okay, I'd like to spend time in this because a lot of people don't know how this works, okay? And actually, I want to highlight what's in the bottom, okay? I'll start in the bottom, okay? Relaxing and the affirming phase of the sexual experience. Why is that so important? Because it is the bridge that will carry you over till the next sexual encounter or the next sexual date or till the next time you are close sexually, yeah? So the first phase is the initiation. You want to ask yourselves, how do you put yourselves in the disposition to have sex with your partner, okay? How do you put yourself in a disposition where you are predisposed to wanting to have sex with your partner, okay? That's one question. You want to answer that with with the couples you're going to work with. Pleasuring, okay? How do you get to the point of sexual arousal, okay? What works for you to the point that you would get to that point of sexual arousal, yeah? And the third one is, well, how do you get to that point of your peak sexual experience or orgasm or ejaculation, any of those, okay? So responding, letting go. How do you reach that point of a sexual release, either through orgasm or ejaculation? And then the fourth phase, which I mentioned, which I feel is very important, which most people miss because maybe they're thinking of the I rather than their partner or the we, is that soft relaxation period, which is a flirtatious, close way of staying connected after lovemaking that should linger through the days so that you are predisposed into thinking about having sex once more, okay? So most people don't realize, well, most people may jump to responding and letting go or pleasuring their partner, but it doesn't actually start and end there. And so I think it's important to know the first and the last stage, because these are the ones that will help continue and maintain its regularity. Yeah? Now, we've had messages as children, don't think about it, right? Don't feel it, don't experience it. All these messages influence us in a way of looking and understanding how sexual intimacy should be part of our relationship. Yeah? Okay. Ooh, this is a long list. Because a lot of people say the problem is we are not interested. So low sexual desire could mean many different things. People say, well, they have a low sexual energy. Their libidos are lower. They're not interested. The desire is low. But if you actually look at the list, what are you actually watching out for? If you're able to work towards understanding. So I put as the first one, chronic couple conflict. Regular couple conflict is a sure breaker of sexual intimacy. You don't feel like making love with someone who you're angry at, okay? Or you feel tense or rejection from. So chronic couple conflict would clearly take that away. Poor hygiene, if we're not taking care of ourselves to be attractive to our spouse. I want to highlight, maybe this is important to you because you're working with young couples battling conception. So you want to know if people are battling against it or for it, because then that can create so much tension and pressure. Yeah? Lacking of planning or preparation, I mentioned that earlier. How many people plan and prepare for it and really let your partner know, this is what I'd like, this is what we want? How do you plan and prepare for it? And I want to connect that to the mismatch of sexual preference. What actually gets your mind predisposed to having sex will be part of your planning and preparation. Now, if you've been married for many years, you think that it's just going to happen. And you do the same thing over and over again, and you have a limited sexual menu, and so you're tired of it, and it doesn't bring the same reaction as you grow and change. And so you want to be open and talking and communicating about all of this so that you can understand what you want from each other. So one of the early on, this woman, I've worked with her for 4 years now. She loves to tell me that her nightgown is 20 years old. And I told her, you go out. I said, how much do you pay me? I told her, you go out and buy yourself a new nightgown. And you know, so even simple, interesting things like that, that you need to tell her, you know. And then this other woman, I'm talking about women, but I should talk about men too. She comes in with a really pulled back hair, a ponytail, right? That really makes her face so stern. And her husband says, ooh, the minute he sees that, it turns him off. I said, let your hair down. And she said, oh, no, I've had this hairstyle for years. And I said, well, you know what, tonight, try to let it down. And she goes, okay, like she's just following me. And it made a lot of difference because according to him, she looked relaxed, she looked loose, I guess, or more open and so on. So sexual menu, sexual preferences, you need to talk about all those things, right? Here on the right, yeah, lack of affection. As I said, right, for women, it's a build-up. For men, it's very sensual. You know, they look at things and immediately they could feel an arousal or they can feel an interest. But for women, there has to be an emotional connection for them to be ready for it, okay? Now, of course, mistrust, sexual abuse, personal stress, yeah, you know all of that. I just want to highlight the two bottom parts. Negative internalized messages about sex, yeah? Negative, internalized. It's in your unconscious. It's embedded, and that you don't know what blocks you, but it does, right? And then negative sexual experiences in the past that's associated with violence, aggression, rejection. You want to watch out for those things. Yeah? Okay. Are there questions about this? More issues. I don't want to read this to you. Let's see what's important. Are there questions about any of this? So, frequency of sexual contact, maximizers and minimizers will have a different level of frequency, okay? So the energy level is just different. You need to talk about that as a couple. Quality of foreplay, I want to highlight pacing, quality, pressure, physical pressure. All of that can take away from the quality of foreplay. So I've worked with a couple whose husband does not kiss at all. He just doesn't like kissing. So deep, passionate kissing, of course, is part of foreplay. We haven't gotten deep into knowing what brought that about, but yeah. So, and his wife likes kissing, and so because of that, there's been a lot of issues in their lovemaking. So quality of foreplay, or the absence of it, I should add that, or the absence of it. As you grow older, of course you will need a longer foreplay only because of the changes in the body, and you want to think about that. Okay? Preparation for sex, you know that, we talked about it earlier. Frequency and quality of sexual release. So, you know, I wasn't sure if you were ready to talk about sexual disorders, but you know there's a whole cluster of orgasmic disorders wherein there's difficulty either reaching orgasm or ejaculation. And yeah, so I don't think you want to talk about that with your couples that you're gonna guide. Maybe this is enough information. But if they're not achieving sexual release, sometimes they're embarrassed. And you know how there's a lot of talk about people faking it? People faking it because it is a symbol of satisfaction. But it's a big problem if it is really not experienced. And so you want people to find a safe place to talk about it. And hopefully the dialogues can help them. Yeah? Creativity and techniques, there's so many good books. I mean, as children, we weren't exposed to any instruction about what sexuality is. You know, you got married, so all your life sex was not talked about. You get married and your parents say, why don't you have children? And they're thinking it's as easy as that, right? And so if we have not received instruction or information about the quality of sex, then that will be a problem. But there's so many good books and videos, you know, to help you learn new techniques. Of course, because recently there's a lot of push towards sex toys and stuff like that. So it depends on your own openness and preferences. Yeah. What else? Let's see the time. Body image, yeah. Yeah, I told you about the woman who makes love with her clothes on, distrust of partner. You know, in the sexual act, you are the most vulnerable, right? Literally and figuratively, it's the time that you're most naked. You're the most open to your partner, and so there's difficulty there. Can I just explain sex that's over the line? Over the line means something you're not comfortable with. Something that you'd rather not do, but your partner would like to do. Stress, worry, and addictions. Pornography, where does pornography come in? Pornography is so available out there. By the time a boy is 11 years old, they would have been exposed to pornography. Pornography is a visual medium. It's entertainment. It's not real. It can affect sexual performance. just like video games, it's such a stimulation that when you're exposed to what's real in your relationship, it doesn't work because you need more of that. Yeah? Okay. So just some tips on sexual intimacy, right? Plan your sex. It won't happen if you think it's spontaneous. Have fun with it. Listen and talk to each other about sex, and the dialogue today will really help you do that. Take your time, slow it down. As you're slowing down the dialogue, containing the dialogue, do the same for that as well. Care for each other, meaningfully touch each other. Oh, earlier I mentioned the 5-minute marriage, right? A 5-minute marriage has 5 1-minute contacts. And there you could make it sexual and flirtatious and sexy and so on. The first minute is upon waking up. Don't jump out of bed and ignore your partner, right? The second one is before you part for the day, is a second minute. So you want to remember that the image that your partner leaves the house of you will either be positive or negative. And you want it to be positive because an affair can suddenly encroach on that thought. And the pace of how fast an affair develops is just so much right now. You want to make sure you're really taking care of that. Okay, great. Okay. So we're going to do a demonstration of a full dialogue, okay? And let's see how that goes. We're going to talk about recreational intimacy, okay? We're going to talk about recreational intimacy. However, you know though that on your own, you need to do all the dialogues on your own in the next 3 weeks. And you can sort of like support each other in doing the dialogue all together, yeah? Maybe gain support with your groups or households. Yeah, okay. Yeah, would you connect with your hands? Okay, great. Yeah, so you can just take a breath. It's okay, it's for the use of this group, yeah? Alright, so just connect with your hands for a moment and just feeling that connection and just connecting with the gaze, just soft eyes, not staring, yeah? And just being present and available to each other, yeah? Okay. And we'll just do a quick exchange of an appreciation. Yeah? One thing I appreciate about me.
One thing I appreciate about you is you are very kind at heart. You only have goodness in your heart. Even if I become like an evil monster at home, dealing with kids, dealing with you, you always have the nicest words to say, and you never pressure me to do anything for you. You are just happy with what I can do for you.
What I heard you say.
What I heard you say is that I am kind at heart, that I say, I don't say bad things. Is that it? So that's what I remember. Then even if you turn into a monster at home, I am patient. Did I mirror it right?
All of that makes me feel guilty, happy that every day I have a chance to become better, and all of that makes me feel safe that I married the right man, and that my children will grow up just like you.
What I heard you say?
What I heard you say is that you're happy and that you want you think our children will somehow grow up to become like me.
So in the feeling part, it's only one word, right? So it makes me happy. So
Thank you for being that kind of.
I thank you. Thank you for what I appreciate about you is your caring nature to me when um, you try to find to do little things and make it special. You prepare things that would make me feel a little bit more special than the usual.
What I heard you say is that I'm beautiful. what I heard you say is that you are grateful that I do little things for you and make simple things special.
This makes me feel important.
What what I heard is that this makes you feel special when I do these things for you. Important.
Thank you for that. I want to dialogue about having fun with you. Are you available?
Yes.
Okay.
So what I want you to know about our having fun.
What I want you to know about our having fun is that I want to have more fun with you. Because I noticed that my idea of fun is different from your idea of fun.
What I heard you say is that you want to have more fun with me because your idea of fun is different from my idea of fun. Is there more?
Yeah, like I love going to coffee shops to talk, and you love going to coffee shops to read magazines. So things like those. I like to go to movies to be excited about the new movie or a new series, but you have different series.
I'd rather stay home and not spend.
So I realized that that we we have fun, but not with each other.
What I heard you say is that you like to go to coffee shops to talk to me, but I'd rather read magazines. That you want to go to movies, but I don't. Yeah, I'd rather stay home with the children. Yeah. And yeah, is there more? You want to say more?
Perhaps also to help me exercise, you go walking with me, running in the morning. So those kind of things.
If I get it right, you want me to exercise with you, go walking with you in the morning, and go running in the morning. Is there more?
Uh, Thinking about all of that makes me feel uh, that we're connecting since we've identified that we're having fun apart. Okay. Thinking about all of that makes me feel a struggling feeling, kind of a feeling of struggle.
I heard you say that thinking about all these things makes you feel that you are struggling.
Okay. And the thing I'm struggling with is to have better dates with you. To have better dates with you.
You want to have better dates with me.
Because the thing I worry about is that our rewards of our work is different from one another, and we might grow happy apart.
You're saying that when the struggles that you go through is that you are afraid that later on we will grow apart because we are happy in different things. Is that right? Is there more?
Um, Perhaps be interested in some of the things I'm interested in, or at least some books that I'm interested
Like
in.
theology.
And just to have something to really talk about also. And besides kids and tuition and and service and chapter, some breather at least.
What I heard you say is that you want to have fun time with me, to read books, to share your passion and your enthusiasm in the things that you study, to be able to converse with you in the things that you love to talk about. I also heard, not talk about children, tuition, our worries and our cares. You just want to, or service, or our work as chapter heads. Yeah, to take a breather with you, to spend time just talking about things that bring joy to you. Is that
And I can imagine if that happens, I would have more energy to actually do the things that I'm expected as a husband, as a father, and as one who provides.
um, I hear you saying that if I can do the things that you want me to do, you will be able to have more energy and inspiration to do the things expected of you as a husband, as a father, as a provider for the family. Did I get you right?
You got me, right?
Let me try and summarize. What I heard you say is that we are very different from each other. We like different things. There are things that you like to do that bring joy to you that is a, is a stress to me. Yeah, sorry. I said it. The words, yeah. That you want to go to coffee shops to talk instead of me reading magazines or just talking about nonsense. To watch movies with you, to spend more time with you than perhaps not mind the children first or our worries, but to just have breather with you. I also heard you say that you like me to at least be more interested in the things that you're interested about, like your study, um, subject matters, or you want to talk about or read books that that you want me to read books that you read.
Can I?
Yeah.
I say.
Okay. To just be interested in the things that you are interested about. And Yeah. And you also said that if I do all this stuff, then you will have more energy to become a better father, better husband, and to become a better provider for the family. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. This makes sense to me because in our course of daily living with four children, they sometimes become very too much to handle, and perhaps maybe you want um, time in the coffee shop where it's quieter, and that we will have time to talk, because at home we never can really finish a sentence without our children butting in, or without our children playing with us. And this validates also the how you are as a person, like you want to read more books. It makes sense to me because it makes sense to me that you want to read more books rather than talk to me, because when we talk, all I say are things about our chapter, about our family, about the problems with the children. I never really talk to you as how you would talk to a friend. Like how I hear you sometimes talk to your friends or professors, or yeah. Is that a good validation?
It's not accurate. What I mean, how do I,
You don't defend.
how do I clarify? How do I clarify?
So she said, is that a good validation? And you are going to, is that a good validation? Or is that a fair validation? Or do you feel that I got you? Yeah. And then if it's not, then your answer is, can I add to it? Or
Okay.
I'd like to clarify.
Okay.
I'd like to add, or can I clarify? Yeah. But it's so you don't want to use good or bad.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't want to use good or bad because it's a judgment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I clarify?
Sure.
I'm not expecting you to read my books. I'm just expect. What I need from you is to just have a desire also to read probably a common book that you might like, then I will also like, and we can talk about how do I. What I'd like for us is to read together.
Okay, as long as you read Archie, as long as you read probably books that is a common interest, like children, family. Yeah.
What I'm longing for is to also you have a common interest on a certain topic, like parenting books, for example. If you love parenting books, uh, we can do that together. We can talk about it together. So we have something to talk in the coffee shop or something to stimulate our relationship on at least on that level.
Okay. Yeah. I can imagine your feeling of being rejected so many times. I can remember all those trips to the coffee shop where I just stopped listening to you, or just left the coffee shop to go home to our children. I can imagine how that must have been difficult for you, knowing that it's actually a simple request that I cannot grant or give. I also imagine how, I don't know, frustrating it must be for you to realize that I'm not as smart as you think I am. Or that I cannot I cannot be in that level of conversation with you, or I cannot really bring myself in a position that I will be as passionate as you are in the things that you do, things that you want to do. I can imagine you frustrated, yeah, or rejected. Yeah, I can imagine you feeling yeah. I can imagine you feeling rejected by me. I'd like to say thank you for being honest and sharing with me what you want, and hearing you say all these things makes, you know, what I'm willing to do is that to listen to you more and to make steps in order to change and allow you to have a happier life ahead, or just to make sure that you won't feel rejected again later.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening, for understanding, and knowing how I feel in very subtle things in life, but things that matter also to me, to help me, regain or revitalize my role at home. Okay.
So how did that feel for both of you?
We were able to discuss a few things earlier also, but when given another chance, like, you are made to dig deep. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
like realize again that there are other things that, like going to a coffee shop and talking. Those are really simple things for me, but it's the world to him.
Right. So it's a caring behavior.
Yeah.
It's a gesture
Yes.
that you are going to do
Mm-mm.
because it's to love him, right? It's not what's easier for you, but it's to love him. So sometimes the caring behavior is how they want to be cared for. And it sounds to me that it's really not too difficult for you to do. You're willing to try it. So it's a stretch towards loving him. Yeah? Okay. And how about for you? How was that?
I felt that when I said, in a way, those expectations, there's also some fear that she might misinterpret what I requested. Not I don't want her to be pressured to read those things,
Right.
but I didn't marry her so that she can she can be a different person because I married her for who she is exactly.
Yeah.
But in terms of course, going to the long haul, I would have expressed that being in sync in certain happy moments would really help enrich the marriage.
Good. Yeah, great. So I just want to highlight this to everyone, okay? In romantic love, there are three main characteristics. The first one is that romantic love is unconscious, right? It's unconscious.